Hello, hello, beautiful people. Happy Beltane, happy May Day. I am soaking up the Beltane sun right now. It's like the perfect day. Like the temperature is cool, but the sun is like, there's like really no clouds in the sky at the moment. So the sun is like perfectly beaming to create the heat, but then there's a cool breeze that comes through. And I just felt like so connected, and I felt that this was a good time to share my reflections so far on this eclipse energy. And so I am recording this on Beltane, May 1st, and we just had the solar eclipse in Taurus yesterday, which was April 30th. And the eclipse did peak at about 4:30 Eastern time here in New York. And so it could have been the afternoon, it could have been the morning for you. But nonetheless, we're still in this window of this eclipse energy, specifically because we are still in eclipse season, right? So we are in the in-between of this solar eclipse that we just experienced on April 30th, and we will have a full moon lunar eclipse in Scorpio mid-May. And so I just want to talk about what has been coming through. And I do want to point out that with the eclipses, as we know, basically with any full moon or new moon in general, there's potency the day of, the day before, and the day after. And with eclipses, that's also true. However, the effects or the topics or just what we're experiencing or changing, or that deep transformation actually lasts for about 6 months, right? So we're undergoing this period of change and transformation within 6 months. Wow, I'm like repeating myself. So hopefully that is not redundant for you. But yeah, so here we are, and I just want to talk about what has been coming up for me personally. And so this might resonate with you, and this is definitely what I've also heard over time other astrologers that I follow mention. And so firstly, I do want to talk about the underlying theme of Taurus season and just what this eclipse has to bring. And so by doing that, I'm going to reflect really quickly on Aries season. You guys have been hearing me talk a lot about this. Aries season, essentially, that core intention, the core vibe was to really fully step into who it is that you are, and then more so, not just who it is that you are, but like this higher aspect of yourself, this divine presence. And so with Taurus season, we are learning how to embody that, or how to nourish ourselves so that we can hold that frequency, that vibration of that higher divine self. And so yesterday, naturally, I always pull an oracle card for the weekend energy. And so, of course, I'm going to pull it for the eclipse. So I'm like, okay, I'm connecting with Urania, my divine self, and asking like, what is the oracle, or what's the tone or the message or the energy that we are within with this eclipse. And I mean, you really can't make this up, but we got the lady here. I pulled the Lady of Embodiments. There's a chalice, there's the blade, there is the raven, the pentacle. Even for me personally, with the swan and the bird, the dove, this is, again, I'm seeing all of this imagery in my real life, the flowers, like I'm seeing all of this in my reality external of the card here, or what Spirit's speaking to me. And so this definitely felt like, of course, the embodiments, and really just, again, stepping into who it is that you are, and also being in the moment and being very present with that. And then now I'm just looking at this card, and there's the bee there, right? And so that bee feels like Gemini energy, the pollinating, the networking, the engaging. And so I feel like that's really, really important right now. I'll get up in 1 second, okay? Here, do you want to look at the card? So embodiment, that is key at the moment. So, that's what I was going into this eclipse season with. And the goal is essentially to take in anything that nourishes this high vibrational aspect that we're seeking to embody. And on the flip side, we're going to be releasing any emotional attachments or anything that's holding us back or restricting us from connecting more deeply with that. So that was my initial feeling and approach to this eclipse season, right? And then of course it gets specific to where Taurus is in your chart, or what's ruling Taurus, what planets you have there, and so forth, and where Venus is in your chart, and also Pisces, because Venus is in Pisces, right? However, by the evening, I started just feeling a little bit annoyed and uneasy, and what came to mind, or what insights I had at this time, was that while with this eclipse, there's this nice energy of just sweetness and pleasure and just feel good. And just when you think about Venus in its exaltation in Pisces, and Jupiter in its ruling sign of its home sign of Pisces, and just like the beauty of Pisces and so forth, there was this little annoyance happening, right? And that's the thing with eclipses. There is this element of disruption, funny enough, right? Disruption. Here, do you want to play with the walnut shell? The walnut? And then I'll take a walk with you, okay? But 1 second, let's wait. But then there's this little disruption, something going on in the background that's really annoying, that you can't really figure out. And it's one of those things that you just have to let the universe or your spirit guides or your divine self take care of. But it's kind of almost like this little bit of annoyance that is disruptive, and it's making it hard for you to just like really embrace the pleasures, right? Really embrace what is, just like the beauty of this eclipse and the beauty of the change and everything that you have been really seeking to move forward into, right? And so I was really feeling that, because I'm like, everything would be so perfect, but there's this one thing. And I don't know what to do. I'm confused, right? And so that's what's been coming up. And so I was also asking myself, because this eclipse happened so very close to Uranus, right? So with Uranus, there's that impression of sudden change and transformation, right? There's the impulse, there's a change, there's a lightning strike, right? To just break up the tension. So I was curious, I'm like, when is this breaking of the tension going to happen? Because nothing crazy has happened. I mean, I definitely feel like a shift energetically, in the sense of like, I feel like, like I'm really transforming and moving forward. However, I didn't feel anything like major within my being and my environments. So I was looking more at the astrology and looking at the moon. And so basically, just to make this pretty brief and quick, early this morning at 12:24 a.m. here in New York, Eastern time, the moon actually finally made its conjunction to Uranus, right? And so I feel like that is powerful within itself. And so it could have been something very subtle, right? And I know with Taurus, right? Taurus is that fixed earth, so it takes a lot to really dig into that fixed earth and move the roots around. And so I know it's probably something where it might take a little bit of time to feel that transformation, but when it hits, it's going to hit. And so I also meant to mention before that the moon is actually exalted in Taurus. And so there's this stability that we have within this, and like being able to sit with your emotions and being able to feel them and not rush through them is key as we move through the next 6 months under this eclipse, lingering effect. And so I do want to also mention that the moon will also finally pass through the node, right? Because the solar eclipse happened close to the node, but they hadn't reached the node yet. And so that north node. And so the moon will pass through the north node at 3:53 p.m. Eastern time, New York time. And that to me felt like the moon finally passing through a gateway. And that moon represents the aspect of manifestation and embodiment, right? So when we think about the moon, it represents that mother energy. It represents creativity, especially with the sun and the moon connection, right? The sun really reflects or channels in that life force energy, or that light into the moon. And over time, there is this embodiment and fullness that comes through. And then there's the part of releasing and birthing. And so with the moon passing through the north node, to me, that really symbolized our awakening, or that transformation, or that acceleration into this embodiment, right? So this is when we're going to feel that change. And moving forward within the next, by tomorrow, at like 6:46 a.m. in the morning, Eastern time, New York time, the moon would have made 5 more aspects, right? So the moon is really making some key interactions. It's going to square Saturn, it's going to sextile Neptune and Jupiter, and then finally it's going to trine Pluto retrograde. And so there's a lot coming up, and there's going to be a lot of transformation, just possibly energetically, over the next like 12 hours or so, or for the next 8. Wow, I just saw on my clock 222. So that is amazing. But yeah, so and then finally the next at 6:46 a.m. actually the last connection it makes is a sextile to Venus. And I just noted beauty, beauty, beauty. I don't know why, like the moon in a supportive connection to Venus feels like really, really good. Venus still being in Pisces, right? And then both of them are gonna change signs. Venus is going to move into Aries, and the moon's going to move into Gemini. So there's going to be a different dynamic, and energy is going to start to pick up. So if you are not feeling that transition or transformation, or just maybe nothing crazy happened, and that's totally okay. But if you're really craving change and just that connection, and merging, personally for me, merging with my divine self fully and feeling that, it is coming, and the energy is going to pick up, especially this month as we have Jupiter also move into Aries and all of the things. And so, yeah, I just wanted to share that with you also. I hope that this just gave you some clarity or guidance if you were looking for that. Of course, always comment. Feel free to ask questions in the comment section below. If you are interested in your own personal reading or wanting to dig into this eclipse energy specifically, definitely reach out and book a reading with me. You can do that either via the link in the bio, which would be a recorded reading, or a link in the caption of the video, or message me directly and we can set up a time to meet on Zoom. So thank you so much for your support, and I will talk to you again soon.